The 270R from Corsair is part of their popular Carbide series, which includes more expensive tempered glass variants. However, if you don't mind missing out on the tempered glass panels of its bigger brothers, then the 270R does offer some very good build quality and design with the enthusiast in mind. And at a low price of $69 for the window version and $59 for the standard version. The 270R is a mid-tower ATX enclosure, which makes it a perfect fit for PC enthusiasts who don't plan on running more than 2 GPUs or need extreme storage or water cooling solutions. In terms of total build volume, we're looking at 509mm long by 210 wide by 460mm tall, so about the same size as the NZXT S340, which is priced about $10 to $20 more here in Australia and also in the UK, but in the US, both the 270R and the S340 are priced identically at $69. The build quality on the 270R is really nice for what you pay for it, with very solid steel panels finished in black, and as with most black cases, this thing is a finger and dust magnet, so keep your microfiber cloths on standby. The front panel has some ventilation on both sides, allowing the front intake fans to access some fresh air, and here you have the option for either 3 120mm fans or 2 140mm intake fans with radiator support all the way up to 360mm. Most of you will either be using a small tower cooler or liquid AIOs with a 240 or 280mm radiator, and both of those are mountable on the top of the case and the front. I do recommend sticking with a front mounted configuration here though, as you won't have any restrictions on your fan configuration from being so close to the motherboard if you mount on the top. For storage, the 270R accommodates up to 2 2.5-inch drives and 2 3.5-inch drives, and this is going to be absolutely plenty for most use cases out there. The easy mounting with the inclusion of thumb screws is a nice bonus, and in terms of cable management, Corsair have really executed quite well. There's a good amount of zip tie points around the back, making for easy and neat routing, and there's some thoughtful routing options for the motherboard 24-pin and the GPU power cable also, with a nice cutout in the power supply shroud, which I'm sure most of you can appreciate. Both side panels and the front panel are completely toolless, which makes for easy building, with top and bottom thumb screws on both the side panels. The top panel is something I will mention though, with support for either 2 120mm or 140mm fans, but with no included dust filter. This really does suck, seeing as a dust filter has been implemented by stock underneath the case, but I feel like including a magnetic dust filter really could have been the icing on the cake here, especially seeing as this is the top of the case, where the dust is going to settle most. I understand that most of you will probably be running exhaust fans at the top here, which is going to make it extremely difficult for any dust to make its way into the case, but when your PC is shut down or even in sleep mode, those fans won't be running and the dust will basically enter at will. Another consideration is that without a filter here, you'll be leaking more sound through the top of the case, just something to keep in mind. Corsair does include 2 fans with the case as well, which is always good to see, a 120mm exhaust fan at the back and a 120mm intake fan at the front, which I wouldn't have minded to see without LEDs, seeing as you're stuck with red here, which not everyone wants. All in all, the case isn't too loud, however I'm not going to do any noise or temperature testing, seeing as that largely depends on what components you have inside. One feature of the case that is largely love or hate is that the front I/O of the 270R is accessible on the right side. A lot of people don't like this at all, saying that it's impractical, but it does have its upsides. For one, the I/O is not facing you when you're at your desk, seeing as most people are going to have this on the right side of them. I personally think this makes the case look a lot neater and more elegant without having those striking blue USB 3 ports and the rest of the I/O facing you. Another thing is that most people, especially enthusiasts, do not even use the front I/O on their PC cases. For USB access, most people are using an external USB hub, and for audio, external amps definitely seem to be trending now. And lastly, again, seeing as most people are going to have this on the right side of their desk, and possibly up against a wall, having the majority of the front ventilation on the left side of the case should allow for better cooling. So summing up, I think this was a good design choice from Corsair. As stated previously, the case comes in both a window and non-window version. The window is also executed quite well, and obviously going with an acrylic side panel as opposed to a tempered glass panel does help cut the cost down quite a bit. But for the enthusiast, you still have a nice open cutout to view all of your hard-earned components, and the acrylic window itself is lightly tinted, which does help to diffuse and soften some of the LEDs and lighting inside the case. Overall, Corsair have done a very decent job here with this budget mid-tower offering, and I feel like it does add a little more variety to the mid-tower ATX market. It's elegant in design with lots of features that enthusiasts will love. Let me know what you guys think of the 270R. Would you choose this or go with the ever popular S340 or maybe the P400S from Phanteks? I'd love to hear your feedback in the comment section below, and as always, I'll include the link in the description to where you can check out the 270R from Corsair. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.